top stories this evening, sponsored by Courts Bringing Value Home. GECOM says a statement from opposition-nominated commissioners on Election Day announcement are misleading. CDEMA warns of active hurricane season, urges regional preparedness. No sign of foul play in Adriana Young's death. Police finally release autopsy report. And HOSORORO Secondary School incomplete. Minister admits contractor has been terminated. HGP Nightly News begins now. Good evening to our viewers here in Guyana and online. I'm ALETHEA Grant with the Wednesday, 28 May 2025 edition of the HGP Nightly News. This is what you need to know this evening. Following the revelations that the date for the 2025 general and regional elections was allegedly unilaterally decided by the chairperson of the Guyana Elections Commission, the Working People's Alliance has voiced their concerns. Dacia Richards reports.
After opposition-nominated commissioners sitting on the Guyana Elections Commission accused Chairperson Claudette Singh of acting unilaterally and advising President Irfaan Ali on the possible date for the holding of 2025 general and regional elections, the Working People's Alliance WPA in a press statement on Wednesday said the move was, quote, nothing short of political recklessness, unquote. With the usual process to determine when the Commission will be able to hold elections being undermined, the WPA added that the parties involved have severed the credibility of the elections even further. It highlighted that the chairperson has allegedly sided with the People's Progressive Party civic commissioners time and time again, and the chair is not seen as impartial. They also described the act as quote-unquote willful suicide. The party also contends that the election might turn the country into another quote-unquote flashpoint for national instability to which the country cannot afford. The party has called on CARICOM to use its influence to stop political carnage. Tuesday, the opposition-nominated commissioners in a press conference pointed out that in the last GECOM meeting held, September 22nd was the earliest possible date for general and regional elections, claiming that the chairperson of GECOM misrepresented the projected date by the chief election officer. The commissioner had this to say.
This contrived and baseless date is just another instance of the manner of conduct of GECOM and the nation's affairs under the chairmanship of Justice Claudette Singh.
President Irfaan Ali in his Independence Day message announced that September 1 will be Elections Day. For HGP Nightly News, I am Dacia Richards.
Meanwhile, the Guyana Elections Commission on Wednesday refuted claims made by the three opposition-nominated commissioners during a joint press briefing on Tuesday. Here is more.
The three opposition-nominated commissioners sitting on the Guyana Elections Commission GECOM on Wednesday said they were blindsided by Chairperson Claudette Singh's unilateral decision to engage President Irfaan Ali on a date for the holding of the 2025 general and regional elections. Vincent Alexander, Charles Corbin, and Desmond Trotman pointed out that they had no prior knowledge about the announcement of an election date, given the fact that discussions were still ongoing as it relates to a work plan that must be completed within a specified time frame. GECOM in a press statement on Wednesday said the assertions from the three commissioners were quote-unquote misleading. The commission related that the chairman received a call from President Ali on Friday, May 23, 2025, inquiring whether GECOM would be in a position to hold the elections within 3 months. The chair then consulted with the chief election officer before providing a response to the president. The elections body went on to say that, quote, the chief election officer informed the chairman that in anticipation of a possible need to conduct the elections before they became constitutionally due, within 3 months, he had prepared a draft work plan to be in a state of readiness to hit the ground running should the need arise, unquote. This plan, according to the CEO, will see the commencement of the 3 months on June 1, 2025, June 1 placing election day at August 25, 2025, within less than the 3-month period. GECOM said, quote, "It is specifically in consideration of this circumstance that the Chief Election Officer advised the chairman that the Secretariat would be able to conduct the elections within 3 months," unquote. The elections body also noted that the quote-unquote work plan mentioned during the press conference, in fact, quote, "could not be seen as a work plan to be used for the conduct of the upcoming elections. What was discussed was a schedule of activities with relevant timelines for completion," unquote. Brief observations on the schedule of activities, the Commission said, were made by the Commissioner during a Commission meeting for which, quote, "an undertaking was given by the Chief Election Officer to consider the observations and amend the schedule if necessary," unquote. The body maintains that the, quote, "schedule of activities was never intended to be used as a work plan for the elections, nor was it discussed in this context," unquote. This, the elections body says, hopefully their response, quote, "will dispel the publicized notion that the chairman acted unilaterally as was propagated during the above referenced press conference," unquote. For HGP Nightly News, I am Daisy Richards.
As the Caribbean braces for another hurricane season, disaster officials are urging citizens to be proactive in their preparations. The Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, CDEMA, is sounding the alarm following early forecasts that predict an above-average season. Find out more from Tiana Cole.
As the 2025 hurricane season approaches, Executive Director of the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, CDEMA, Elizabeth Riley, said the season is projected to be more active than usual. This outlook comes from the Colorado State University's early April forecast, which predicts a heightened number of storms.
According to their experts, we can anticipate 17 named storms, with 9 expected to become hurricanes and 4 likely to reach major hurricane status.
Riley cautioned that although forecasts carry some level of uncertainty, Caribbean nations must stay alert and ready. She emphasized that the threat from even one storm can have devastating consequences.
So we must take every necessary step to ensure the safety of our communities. In addition, even though we're focused today on the Atlantic hurricane season, it is important to remember that our preparations must be for all hazards, since our region is also vulnerable to other hazards such as earthquakes, volcanic eruptions.
Reflecting on the past year, Riley highlighted the strides CDEMA has made in enhancing the readiness of the regional response mechanism. Between April 2023 and March 2025, the agency implemented several initiatives aimed at boosting disaster response capacity across the Caribbean. On Wednesday, CDEMA signed a Memorandum of Understanding with 3 key partners, the UK Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office, Castrol Shipping, and Sunrise Airways. The MOU, which runs until March 31, 2026, is expected to significantly strengthen regional disaster response. Under the agreement, Castrol's shipping will assist in moving relief supplies throughout the region during times of crisis. Sunrise Airways has committed to transporting relief personnel and cargo whenever needed. Hurricane Beryl, which made landfall last year, was a stark reminder of the region's vulnerability. This storm left a trail of destruction across several islands. Beryl's impact underscored urgency for preparedness and regional cooperation ahead of the upcoming season. Tiana Cole reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Thank you, Tiana. More news after this break. Stay with us. You're watching the HGP Nightly News. Welcome back. An early morning home invasion in Lusignan on the east coast of Demerara has left a 70-year-old pensioner dead and his wife traumatized after 2 masked bandits broke into their home, assaulted the couple, and escaped with over $800,000 in cash and valuables. Tiana Cole reports.
The victim, identified only as Diana Ryan, lived with his 69-year-old reputed wife Shireen Hanif, also known as Auntie Baby, in a 1-story wooden house along the Lusignan Railway embankment. The robbery occurred around 3:30 a.m. on Wednesday. Speaking through tears during an interview with NYIC News, Hanif recounted a horrifying ordeal, explaining that she woke up to start preparing for the day ahead when she encountered the masked intruders.
He came and put me full light on the toilet bowl. And he choked me neck and I loose. And he said, don't holler, don't scream. And he choked me and me fight back and tie me 2 hands, me 2 knees, and me 2 foot. Push cloth and so in my mouth.
She said, as she struggled, she heard her husband calling out for her, but she was unable to respond because she was gagged.
I didn't know if he come down or what, but still after, they left after 4 and then after 5, then me get up, then me can get up because me can hear this knee all pain me. And when we come, I see them tie foot and hand, and he lie down straight, so when we watch it in a breathe.
After the intruders fled, Hanif managed to free herself and raised an alarm by shouting for her brother who lives next door.
Then carry 500,000 on my wristwatch, he phone, me phone. I mean, go pause the chain and his ring and my ring, then carry all that.
She added that she and her husband are vendors and have been plying their trade for 6 decades and had no known issue with anyone in the community. According to the police, approximately $500,000 was stolen from under a bed and another $300,000 from a black bag in one of the bedrooms. The bandits also made off with mobile phones and other valuables. Police arrived on the scene at around 6:30 a.m., processed the area, and collected DNA swabs from Dino Ryan's hands. No marks of violence was observed on his body, but a post-mortem examination is pending. Police say investigations are ongoing and efforts are being made to apprehend the perpetrators. Tianako reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Police have finally released the autopsy report of Adriana Young after weeks of public pressure. You'll find out more in this report.
Hours ahead of a second autopsy, the Ghana Police Force scrambled to release the findings of the first autopsy. In a statement, the police said that a comprehensive post-mortem examination, including toxicology and DNA testing, was carried out. The Ghana Police Force says it has confirmed that the death of 11-year-old Adriana Young was due to drowning, with no signs of foul play. Sexual assault kit and DNA analysis for potential suspects were negative. There was no evidence of restraint, struggle, removal, and return of the body, according to the Ghana Police Force. Quote-unquote, the pathologist concluded that Young drowned, likely sank to the bottom of the pool, and later surfaced due to natural decomposition processes common in tropical climates, the Ghana Police Force said. Nightly News understands that detectives are currently preparing the investigative case file for submission to the Director of Public Prosecutions for her perusal and legal opinion. Young's body was discovered on April 24, 2025, in the swimming pool of the Doubleday International Hotel after she went missing the day before. Her body was flown out of Guyana on Monday morning to the United States for a second autopsy. Tianako reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Stay tuned, more news after this break. Welcome back with the HGP Nightly News. Dante Fraser called Braga a 22-year-old taxi driver of Lot 29 Paradise, West Coast Berbice, and Samuel Coates, a 34-year-old construction worker of Number 9 Village, West Coast Berbice, were on Wednesday jointly charged with the offense of possession of narcotics for the purpose of trafficking. The duo were arrested on May 26, 2025 by ranks of the Cove and John police station. Fraser and Coates were nabbed with 4,040 grams of marijuana during an intelligence-led operation conducted by a party of police from the Cove and John police station. The charge was laid contrary to Section 51AI of the Narcotics, Drug and Psychotropic Substances Control Act, Chapter 1010. The two defendants appeared at the Cove and John Magistrates Court before Her Worship, Magistrate Orinthia Smith, where the charge was read to them. They pleaded not guilty. However, bail was refused and they were remanded to prison. The matter was adjourned to June 18, 2025. After highlighting the incomplete state of the HOSORORO Secondary School in Region 1 by Member of Parliament Sherrod Duncan, the minister with responsibility for the education sector has admitted that the contractor has been terminated. More details from Daisy Richards.
Education Minister Priya Manik-Chan has admitted that the government contractor for the HOSORORO Secondary School in Region 1 has been terminated for poor performance. This means that the construction of the multi-billion-dollar school has been halted with only 30% of the work completed. The issue was first raised by AP and UAFC Member of Parliament Sherrod Duncan during a recent visit to the abandoned project.
You got some walls, you got a roof, that's it. And there's no construction equipment in sight, there's no personnel in sight, and from everything we're seeing here, this site has not been used in a little while.
Mr. Duncan highlighted that given the current state of the school, it is a clear indication that taxpayers' money is being wasted.
There is not a completed project here in the last 5 years. There is no project in all of Region 1 that the government can point to and say, look, we have started this and we have completed it.
However, in response to MP Duncan's highlighting of the issue, Education Minister Priya Manik-Chan took to her Facebook page and responded, quote, Sherrod Duncan is wrong when he says not a single project is finished in Mabaruma. I won't even go to the other ministries. I'll leave that for the respective ministers, but Northwest Secondary was burned by arson, and that school started and finished, and children are in that school. Warumuri Secondary is about to be finished. Krubana Secondary will be ready for September, and Matthews Ridge is well on its way, unquote. The contract for the HOSORORO Secondary School was signed on July 8, 2023, and was expected to be completed within 8 months. The work consultant was awarded to GR Engineering Company, and the $2.6 billion contract was awarded to International Imports and Supplies, Supreme Contracting and Supplies, and the VG Group Guyana. For HGP Nightly News, I am Daisy Richards.
Stay tuned for regional news.
Good evening, I'm Daisy Richards with Wednesday's edition of the Regional News. The Pan-American Health Organization, PAHO, has issued a new Rapid Risk Assessment, RRA, on yellow fever in the Americas, including the Caribbean, which it said shows that the risk to public health remains high due to continued human cases in endemic countries of the region. PAHO said that so far this year, there has been a more than 8-fold increase in cases compared to the same period of 2024. Countries have reported 221 confirmed human cases of yellow fever, including 89 deaths. In comparison, in 2024, there were 61 human cases confirmed, including 30 deaths. PAHO said that what is concerning is the fact that while in 2024 most cases were reported in the Amazon region of Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, Guyana, and Peru, this year cases have also been reported outside the Amazon region in areas such as Sao Paulo State in Brazil and Tolima Department in Colombia. It said that while vaccination capacities in endemic countries have since improved to limit global supply of yellow fever vaccine continues to pose a challenge, with current supplies unable to cover demand in the Americas and in Africa. In the risk assessment, PAHO calls for the need to strengthen surveillance, vaccination of at-risk populations, and the communication strategies to ensure the provision of public health advice for affected communities and those traveling to areas where vaccination is recommended. Tax revenues in Latin America and the Caribbean LAC decreased as a share of gross domestic product GDP in 2023 amid a slowdown in economic activity in the region and a decline in global commodity prices, according to a new report released. The report titled, quote, Revenue Statistics in Latin America and the Caribbean, unquote, has been released during the ongoing 37th Regional Fiscal Seminar of the United Nations Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean. It shows that the average tax to GDP ratio in the region was 21.3% in 2023, 0.2 percentage points below the level in 2022 and slightly below the level prior to the COVID-19 pandemic of 21.4%. Tax to GDP ratios in the region ranged from 11.6% in Guyana to 32% in Brazil in 2023. By comparison, the average tax to GDP ratio in OECD countries was 33.9% in 2023. The report said between 2022 and 2023, the tax to GDP ratio fell in 14 of the 26 countries. The overall decline in tax revenues as a share of GDP in the region was due to a fall in revenues from income taxes, notably among some of the main hydrocarbon and mineral producers. A decline in commodity prices in 2023 dragged down the region's revenues from non-renewable natural resources. Hydrocarbon-related revenues among the region's 10 biggest oil producers declined to 3.9% of GDP on average in 2023 from 4.4% of GDP in 2022, while mining revenues declined to 0.59% of GDP from 0.74% of GDP in 2022. The report estimates that revenues from hydrocarbons and mining decreased further in 2024 to 3.2% of GDP and 0.5% of GDP, respectively. Finally, the New York Immigration Coalition, NYIC, is warning that the decision by the United States government ordering its embassies worldwide to freeze issuing student visas could severely threaten Caribbean and other international students. NYIC, an umbrella policy and advocacy organization that represents over 200 immigrant and refugee rights groups throughout New York, said that the Donald Trump administration has directed U.S. embassies to temporarily halt the scheduling of interviews for new student visa applications as they prepare to include social media screenings for these individuals as part of the application requirement. NYIC said that student applicants who already have visa interviews scheduled may still proceed with the application process. NYIC President and Chief Executive Officer told the Caribbean Media Corporation, CMC, that, quote, the Trump administration's latest move to pause new student visa appointments is another reckless and harmful decision, one that will disrupt the lives and futures of thousands of international students, many of whom are already navigating uncertainty due to the existing Trump immigration policies, unquote. He also said it opens the door to widespread discrimination based on speech and identity. He said the impact would be severely felt in New York, home of hundreds of thousands of Caribbean and other international students, quote, who bring cultural, intellectual, and economic value to our universities, our communities, and our state, unquote. Thank you for watching. Do have a great rest of the week. Until next time.
GECOM says statements from opposition-nominated commissioners on election day announcement are misleading. CDEMA warns of active hurricane season, urges regional preparedness. No sign of foul play in Adriana Young's death. Police finally release autopsy report. And HOSORORO Secondary School incomplete. Minister admits contractor has been terminated. Those are our major headlines for these stories and more. Please go to our website. It's www.hgptv.com. I'm ALETHEA Grant. Thanks for watching.